There's no better way to start the revolution but by talking about the things that have inspired us to take action. We at Jeevitam believe in bolne se hota hai. We welcome all to our first episode of Student Banega Atmanirbhar podcast series. I would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Shobha Menon, who is the principal of Cosmopolitan Valia College and has done a postgraduate in industrial psychology from the Department of Applied Psychology at the University of Mumbai. She has more than 20 years of teaching experience and has published several research papers. She is a guide for doctoral research in management studies at University of Mumbai. She is also a member of Board of Studies in Psychology at University of Mumbai. We also have with us Mr. Munish Chawla, the co-founder of Jeevitam, which is a tech-enabled livelihood platform. He believes that the ongoing crisis has provided a massive push for change and is an opportunity for everyone to reset the ways in which we work and live. I request Munish sir to please take the conversation forward.
Thank you, Falguni, and a very warm welcome to everyone for our first podcast series with the topic Student Banega Atmanirbhar. We are privileged and honored to have Dr. Shobha Menon with us today. She is the principal of Cosmopolitan Valia College, and she has been, supporting Jeevitam in its endeavors earlier. Also, we had in the past done a webinar series on college placement drives on Student Banega Atmanirbhar earlier. So this is our first podcast for this series. The objective of this podcast is primarily to reach out to students who are graduating from colleges or who are still studying in colleges, find a sustainable livelihood. I'm so happy to have Dr. Shobha over here with us. Dr. Shobha, you have a career spanning more than 20 years in education, and there can be no better person than you who can guide us as to what a successful career like yourself, and how has your journey uh, been, and what advice will you like to give to the younger generation? Shobha ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Munish, and thank you, Falguni, for that lovely introduction that you gave me. Now, coming back to the question of what has my journey been like, or what are the things which have propelled me forward. Now, when one looks back, one would realize that whether it is my journey or anybody else's, it's all about being open to new experiences. As Mr. Munish has rightly just said, that this whole pandemic and the situation that was created by the pandemic and all, if we look at it as a problem, then it is a problem. If we look at it as a challenge and we are open to new experiences, then it's a new experience. The whole idea of working from home, the kind of exposure to technology that this particular pandemic gave us, I don't think ever it has happened. I mean, all these platforms existed much before the pandemic came in, but we discovered it, or we started using it, we became comfortable with it only post the pandemic. So that is because of the idea that you should be open to new experiences, because new learnings, new experiences should drive an individual. And as youngsters in a very dynamic world, openness to new experiences is absolutely essential. Over to you, Munish.
Thank you, Dr. Shobha. I think you are right, ma'am. This pandemic has changed the way we work and live, and it has also changed the way we learn and the way we work, right? So, nobody had thought that colleges will be closed for so long, and the education will be done online. Nobody had, work from home was an option which was available to everyone, but this was the first time that this became a acceptable work option. And because of this ongoing crisis, right, this particular option is now being utilized by everyone, and world is now becoming one marketplace. And my question to you, in the context of this crisis, when students are looking for livelihood, because the earlier the way college placements were happening, they are not happening now because corporates are not traveling. In this scenario, when corporates are not traveling, and what all the students should do to find sustainable livelihood, especially these students, who are not academically very strong, and they are the people who face challenges. What do you think the students of these category do in order to cope up with the ongoing challenge and find livelihood?
Manish, first and foremost, one thing I would like to say is that being academically strong does not necessarily ensure that you will get employment, because what I have seen many a time in institutions is it's not always the class topper who gets picked up. So one thing that there is a lot of difference between being academically strong and being smart and skillful. And I think youngsters should focus on being smart and skillful. And this is where your entire focus should be. The problem is that a lot of youngsters are only running after grades. Ultimately, we need to understand that corporates want people who will deliver. What grade you have on your mark sheet is of little significance to me as a person, running a corporate, if you are not able to deliver.
Yes.
So, ultimately, your skills at being able to, what skills you develop are very crucial. So upskilling and continuous upskilling, finding out what is new, what is happening, and very importantly, an awareness of things happening in the world around you is very, very crucial to success in the world of work. World of work has very little to do with the marks on your mark sheet. Often the people who get the promotions or get the jobs are not necessarily those who are very academically strong. So any student who is not very great academically, doesn't have an A double plus or an O on his mark sheet, need not feel disheartened. Maybe he is better. It's just that he, the examination tested some memorizing capacity, which he doesn't have, so he could not deliver there.
Yes, ma'am.
Get those A plus pluses and those O grades. However, if he is able to deliver, if at the workplace, success is assured. What is required is upskilling, willingness to go that extra mile, willingness to interact, and that is where all your social media platforms become very important for youngsters today.
Yes, ma'am.
It's very important to network on these platforms and know how to use LinkedIn and all these platforms effectively to your advantage, because that is the way ahead. Yes, that's over to me.
I think very, very well said, ma'am. I keep dealing with a lot of corporates who are looking for freshers, who are looking for college students, and what sets the edge for them is the students who's good in academics and also who has good experience behind them. Some working experience behind them. Okay, because the normal question when anyone wants to join, when any recruiter asks a college student, why you want to join this company, most of the times we hear the answers, we want to learn. The Then the corporate asks, what were you doing for 3 years in the college, right? What were you doing
Right,
earlier,
right.
right? So I think that's a thing which we are looking at, and I totally agree with you. There is a very clear need to skill, upskill, reskill themselves. And be in touch with everyone. Like you have prepared to get into the best of the college, you have to also prepare to be best of the corporate also. I think that's a very relevant. See, one of the things, ma'am, there is one anomaly which is there, and I think this crisis probably may correct that anomaly. See, these students who are in tier one cities, they have an advantage over the students coming from tier two, tier three cities. I do not like this being called tier two, tier three cities, but for discussion's sake, I'm just putting out a thing. The small towns, these smaller areas here where the colleges are there, right? How do they basically, in today's scenario, prepare themselves for their livelihood opportunities coming out? Your view, ma'am, on this.
First and foremost, I agree that students who are in tier 1 cities, they have some advantages. At the same time, what we have found is that students who come from tier 2 and tier 3 cities are a little more focused. This is something that you may find, maybe it is the fact that they have fewer distractions around them. Also, the fact that they have that fire within them to make it, to prove themselves, because somewhere they know that they would be at a disadvantage in comparison, but the fact that you know that you are at a disadvantage puts, and you want to overcome it. So it's all about having that fire within you, that I want to make it and I will make it, and not giving up. That's very, very important. Not being put down, not giving up, because if I may liken this to the scenario that happens when we have students who probably come from so-called elite schools, as compared to students who probably come from, when I talk about coming to college, have students who are coming from ordinary schools, not such elite schools. Those children may not come from elite schools, but then they have that fire within them burning, which says that I just need to make it. So that's one thing we often find in tier 2, tier 3 cities. I accept and understand that the exposure that these the students may get when they are in tier 2, tier 3 cities may be less. At the same time, you may be able to get a lot of volunteering opportunities, which you must take. See, because volunteering has a lot of significance. Unfortunately, in India, still we are not giving volunteering experience the kind of importance that it gets abroad. In most countries abroad, one thing they insist on is that you must have your local experience in their country. But then question is, if nobody gives me a job, how do I get the experience? You need not get a job. You can join as a volunteer. Joining as a volunteer is an investment in your own future. Look at it like an investment in your future. That's one way. You volunteer right now. Okay, you have to work hard. You are not getting paid for it. But one, you're learning. Second, so you are not going to go and tell the organization that I've come here to learn. You have already learned. If they ask you, and volunteering also is important at college level. There are a lot of activities in colleges which require volunteers, and we will find that students who have volunteered in such activities learn very important skills. Teamwork. Gone are the days of individual working. We have to be capable of teamwork. So they learn very importantly teamwork. They learn to plan their work. They learn to work with, people who are different from you. They learn conflict management skills, which are also crucial, which if you are able to portray that you have learned as a volunteer, whether during school or college or by volunteering to work with some organization, all those things will make a lot of difference in terms of how your resume looks and what you are able to, and at the same time it will also add to your confidence. So that's one thing I think people in smaller towns and cities need to think of.
I think, ma'am, what you have really hit the real good point, ma'am. You are calling them volunteers. I said, I'm a businessman, son, and I share with you, when I was doing my college, from my college I used to go to my dad's office, and I used to spend time there, sit there, and learn how the business is being done, right? And so
Right.
when I completed my education, right, my graduation, and I joined a company, I had an edge over
Hmm.
others, because I really knew how the
Yes.
work actually happens, which are there. I think somewhere, the parents do a disservice to their kids, when they say to them, ki, oh, you do not, please focus on your studies, marks are important, as we had discussed earlier, and they do not allow their kids to, do some volunteering or part-time jobs or freelancing jobs or apprenticeship, whatever, even having their own startup, right? I think these are the few,
Right. Right.
in our times these options were not there, but now these options are there. What will be your message, ma'am, to the parents and who may be listening, or the students, who who are there in their first year, second year, third year? What will be your message to them, right, ma'am? What should they do while they are studying? Because I have my college going on, I do not have time. These are the excuses we get many times, from there. What is your message for them?
See, one very important thing is you need to ask yourself, why are you in college? You are not
Yes.
in college to complete college. You are ultimately in college with a long term focus, right? When you're finishing your graduation or post graduation, you are going to have to look for employment or become self employed, which means that whatever time you are putting in these activities should not be looked on as a waste of time.
Agree.
Second, very important thing unfortunately, which I find lacking in India, and especially this mindset it's a mindset problem, I would say, is the dignity of labor.
Yeah.
Dignity of labor we find very badly lacking in India. So if if say if like I'm heading an institution, I would find it very embarrassing, or I would find it very demeaning. Say if my son is working in a MACD, because
Yeah.
my the take of many Indian parents is, why do you need to go and do that? I'm so educated. We are so well placed. Your family is so well placed. Why on earth do you need to go and do that? We can fund your education. There is no need to go and do that work. He is not going there to fund his education. You can very well fund his education. What he's going there to do is to learn. So that mindset change has to come about. We often find, even during placement drives, etc., which are conducted, parents discouraging students, children, from taking up सेल्स जॉब नहीं करना है, सेल्स जॉब करके क्या करोगे, सेल्स सेल्स कौन करता है, दैट काइंड ऑफ अप्रोच, दैट माइंडसेट हैज टू चेंज. This is where the basic difference comes between nations like ours and countries abroad, wherein there you will find that even if the father is a surgeon, a professor in a college, a head of an institution, you may find their son or daughter working in any kind of small outlet, because it's his or her life which he or she has to make. This excessive dependence on parents, ki they will fund us, they will take care of us, why should we work, that mindset has to change. It's a mindset change that has to happen, and it has to happen at the level of the students as well as their parents, as well as educational institutions as well. We don't have a system which is very supportive to students working. Moment a student comes and tells you that he or she is working, the general approach is then you go and join for distance education. Whereas abroad, people do full-time courses, regular courses, along with employment. Because if you look at a student's timetable or whatever, we don't really require them to be here every single day. If you are able to arrange the timetable in such a way that they can come 3 days a week and complete their work, complete their education, they are also free to work. But we seldom find institutes in India open to this idea. So it's a mixture of many things. Many people have to come together for this.
I think, ma'am, what you said, that's why, this first podcast, I think hit the nail, ma'am. Right? Yeah, it is not only the students, the parents are also a problem. हमारे देश में ही होता है, ma'am, my papa, my ATM. Okay. So, I will fund you till the time you find the right job. And, today we do not allow them go through the tough, rigors, and eventually you are not going to be there every time you're around your kid. This kids has to find their own footing and they have to take on things. This we forget. I think, ma'am, my last question to you, right? And this is very important. Before we end this session, see, we are hearing a lot, and this is, especially for the girls of our country, who are going to their colleges. What we have seen, बेटी बचाओ, बेटी पढ़ाओ. तो बेटियां तो पढ़ गई, but उसके बाद क्या? And for our nation to grow, we are among the lowest when it comes to the women workforce participation, right? So, what will be your message to the girls, especially, okay, who are listening to this podcast, for what should they do, in the present ongoing scenario? We have been always being told, especially in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, opportunities are not as much, or, the work environment is not very conducive outside. But with work from home coming, like, I have a lot of girls who have joined me from various IIMs. They all are working from home. So, what is your message for the girls, to find livelihood?
As you rightly said, and as I said it right at the beginning also, that this pandemic has actually opened out a number of opportunities. So work from home is a very good opportunity, not only for young girls, but also for women who are looking at a second career. In the sense, women who have probably taken a drop, who have, for marriage, for raising a family, etc. Even for these women, the online platforms are, online, the kind of businesses that can be done. There is a lot of freelance work also available online, where people can, freelance and earn some income. Also, lot of people working in this whole sector of creating content for media, because content creation is another whole area which is coming up, which is really big today. Also, very important, there are platforms, like you will come across platforms like Skillshare and Coursera and all these, where you can sit at home and upskill yourself, probably learn something totally different, which, so maybe I have zero idea about maybe digital marketing, but I want to make a career in that. My initial learnings can be from these platforms like Skillshare, etc., where which at a nominal yearly subscription allow me to learn online. So that is one thing. Then also the fact that online job opportunity, I mean, things are, employment avenues are available to young people, work from home. Also, the fact that we need to realize the importance as young women, realize the importance of being financially independent,
Yes, ma'am.
because no matter what anybody may say, people don't really live on love and fresh air. One definitely needs money. Okay, so it's very important to be financially independent, because financial independence gives you a sense of worth and a sense of efficacy which no one can take away from you. So very important it is to be financially independent, to be financially wise, financial literacy, knowing and saving, starting to earn young, save and invest young, very important, not just girls, everybody. Save and invest for a better future and start that young. Be independent, learn to take that extra step ahead that is required. That's very, very important. So whether it's girls, whether it's boys, let's not keep these barriers of gender anymore. Let us move on and try and see that I as an individual have to be independent, capable of standing on my own feet and moving ahead.
Wow.
So that's what I would like to say.
I think what a message, ma'am. So powerful message you have sent to all the girls out there, who are in their college, who are looking for livelihood. And I think this message is going to remain with them and will show them the path to, have their independence and have their worth while they study and all. So thank you, ma'am, for this. This was a really inspiring podcast, and
Thank you
I'm
so
sure a
much.
lot of people are going to hear. We at Jivitam are trying to reimagine the college placement drive by asking questions: why college placement cannot drive where it has never happened? Why college placement cannot take place when corporates are not traveling, students are at home, and uh, you know uh, colleges are closed? Why college placement drive cannot happen for first year, second year, third year students? Why it cannot happen till everyone finds livelihood? So we are on a mission livelihood for all, and looking forward to making her student Atmanirbhar. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for this.
Thank
Over
you
to you,
so
Falguni.
much, and
Yes, sir.
Thank you,
best
ma'am.
wishes to all.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much, ma'am. It was great pleasure to listen to your wise words and learn so much from them. We are grateful to you for being a part of our Student Banega Atmanirbhar episode 1. Thank you for your enlightening words that must have inspired so many people out there. So I just wanted to ask, if our audience wants to reach you, how can they connect with you?
They could connect with me on Facebook or on LinkedIn. I'm there on both these platforms, so they can just search me on this.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you for all for this first episode. Bye, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you all.